Welcome to the IonaHoops.com podcast with your host, Guy Flatico.
Happy holidays, Gale Nation, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 12 of the IonaHoops.com podcast. The win streak sadly ends at 5 with a tough loss at The Pit against New Mexico. We knew that wasn't going to be easy, and now we get ready for 3 big games in Hawaii. We'll dig into the New Mexico game in a minute, and we'll take a deep dive into the full Diamond Head Classic field in this episode. But first, we're going to get back to some Iona Iotas.
Iona Iotas.
So now's a good time to take a look at how the computers view the Iona Gales since it's so important, coming off the New Mexico loss. Today's newest NCAA net rankings, hot off the presses, have our beloved Gales at 42, down from 38 a week ago, so not a major hit there. Right now, New Mexico is a quad 1 loss, putting us at 0-1 in quad 1 games, as New Mexico is 21 in the latest net. Iona's 1-1 in quad 2 games with the neutral site win over Princeton at 96 in the net and the loss at Hofstra, which is 113 in the net. And now you're wondering, wait a minute, where's St. Louis? At 88 in the net and being a home game for us, that's only a quad 3 matchup. Iona is 3-1 in quad 3 games. The other 2 wins are neutral site over Vermont, 170 in the net, and St. Bonaventure, 183 in the net. And the loss is the neutral site setback versus Santa Clara, 110 in the net. And yes, math whizzes, that means Iona's 3-0 in quad 4 games. That's the MAC weekend sweep and then the opener against Penn. Speaking of the MAC, the second best team in the MAC is Quinnipiac at 153. In a word, ew. We'll look at how the teams in the Diamond Head look in the net when we preview that tourney in a little bit. But first, we're going to quickly shift over to KenPom. Iona dropped from 58 to 63 with the loss at New Mexico. Again, not a major hit. New Mexico still only at 74 even after the win. Both the offense and the defense for Iona are ranked in the KenPom top 75, with the offense at 73 and the D at 55. We're going to take a deeper look into this more in the next episode, but I have to bring up the fact that the MAC had a chance to put up a decent KenPom conference rating, but Sunday was a disastrous day for the league, and instead of inching up from the 20th spot we were in entering the day, we're back at 22. Again, in a word, ew. Let's leave all those numbers behind us now and just move on to actual stuff on the court, shall we?
Iona Iotas.
The Iona women's team is off to a solid start this year, 6-4 record overall, 1-0 in MAC play with a come-from-behind win at home over preseason favorite Quinnipiac this past Saturday. The Lady Gales had a really solid non-conference performance overall. Even the losses were tight, except for a setback at an undefeated St. John's team. And it's MAC play from here on, but a great start to that portion of the slate with the win over Quinnipiac. As expected, Juana Camion and Ketsia Athias have led the way. Camion with 14 points, 4 rebounds, nearly 4 assists per game, 54% from the floor, 39% from 3. Athias, 13.7 points, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks, 56% shooting. So those two have really held up their end of the bargain for sure. But what about rising star Kate Mager, 11 points per game, 45% from 3. As a team, the Lady Gales are shooting 36% from 3 and are holding foes to 39% overall from the field. Let's keep an eye on this team as they strive toward their goal of a first-round bye in Atlantic City come March. All right, let's suck it up and recap the Iona men's game in New Mexico. Not many Iona regular season games get national hype, but there's no question the Gales at undefeated New Mexico captured the eyes of many. And for a while, it appeared the Gales were, well, just not up to the challenge. Down by 17 in the first half before cutting it to 11 by the break. Down 15 again early in the second stanza. But something did happen on the way to crashing and burning on national television. Iona just kept scrapping, working, clawing, fighting down the stretch, and then you looked up and the margin was just 3, pretty late in this one. Alas, coming back from so far down against a quality opponent can be draining, It was not meant to be, as Iona fell to New Mexico. The Lobos closed this one out 82-74 with some fantastic free throw shooting. For the Lobos, I recorded this before the new AP poll came out on Monday. But if New Mexico isn't ranked in the AP poll, as you listen to this, they're probably really, really close. For Iona, in a game where the threes really didn't fall and the defense struggled so much that Bettino played zone for a good portion of this one, there's still a lot to take from it. Battling back from so far down on the road against a top 25-ish type team shows some heavy duty growth from these kids. Individually, we saw the return of Quinn Slazinski, who had 8 points and 12 boards. Maybe a touch of rust, maybe a little out of shape, but good to see him back out there, and he certainly made a difference. We also saw the debut of Sadiko Ayo, who had 6 points, and you can just see the potential that kid's got. Nelly had another terrific game, 21.6 rebounds for quite a while. It seemed like he's the only Gale that belonged out there. Then Walter Clayton put up a big second half to lead the Gales back, and he finished with 14 points and 4 rebounds. Cruz Davis, another nice game off the bench with 8 points. But the Gales, 3 of 24 from 3. 3 of 24. And 56% shooting from New Mexico. Those two things are just too much to overcome. It's a crazy that with those numbers we were as close as we were. So what does this loss mean? Not a ton. Would it have been a boost to an at-large berth if you worry about that stuff? Or maybe a seed line in the NCAA tournament if Iona wins in the MAC tournament? Yeah, sure. But, long way to go, of course. Long road. You can't really say what one game's going to mean down the line. Would always have been great to see Iona get over the top, especially on the road in a game like this. And though the MAC doesn't have 15,000-seat arenas packed with fans, environments can still be hostile. The Gales will be tested on the road, and this was a great test that they almost found a way to pass, despite struggling in multiple aspects of the game. Here's the full Rick Pitino press conference after the loss, courtesy of Iona Athletics.
And I'll be for questions.
Well, congratulations to the Lobos. They were devastating on offense in the first half especially. House is a very unique guard. He can dominate. Even when we had 2 guys on him, he still got the ball in bounds and went by us. Very unique basketball. He reminds me of, I always get this young man's name wrong, but he plays for the Pelicans, I believe. And he went to, I forget his name now. Anyway, he's a little guard that played last year and was a dominating basketball player.
Ingram?
Jose
Alvarado. He reminds me of him. But terrific game for them. We didn't play up to our potential, but anytime you don't play up to your potential, it's because the other team makes you not play up to your potential. We had a chance of 4, we turned the ball over. Good teams can't do that. Getting Quinn Slazinski back was a big positive for us, but he's totally out of shape, especially with this altitude. But we had our chances. We didn't come through on the chances, and that's because New Mexico is an excellent basketball team. So very happy for Richard. I'm very proud of him. Great crowd, terrific crowd. Now, Richard knows how to handle it, but the one piece of advice for this team is don't embrace it. Get better. Get better. Take what you did wrong and get better. Because as quickly as you're climbing that mountain, you get knocked right off of it. And you got to just understand that. But if they get crowds like this every game, it'll be tough to beat. Tough to beat. Our guys hung in there, but it was great atmosphere. I love this place. Not crazy about it tonight, but I do love the place. The fans are awesome.
I know you had said yesterday, I don't know if anyone believed you, but you said you weren't going to press. You did force them into 16 turnovers, and you did press most of the game.
Well, we played mostly zone. I haven't showed zone in 3 years. And we didn't think we could guard them man-to-man. And my presumption was right. We couldn't guard them man-to-man. Too quick. Their offenses. They just run their offenses. It's matchup problems. And so we played a little bit of zone. We certainly pressed a little bit. I was hoping to wear Jalen. We wear out 98% of point guards. That guy's the Energizer Bunny. You can't wear him out. He has incredible stamina.
are there points in the game where you're just looking at him to see if he's sucking wind at all, and he's just
He
not?
doesn't. I've watched him enough. He doesn't. You just hope it hurts his shot. But we didn't shoot the ball real well tonight. But that's okay. We were 3 for 24 from the three. We did a lot of good things. They would have been a basketball team.
Coach, how literally did you make the comeback?
Well, our zone was giving them problems, and we started attacking the rim, and we got some easy buckets. And we had a shot up for silly turnover up for to throw the ball away in that situation's not a smart play. But look, they make free throws. One of the things about this basketball team and why it is so, when you go down the stretch, House is such a great free throw shooter. I believe if you're going to be a championship team in your league, a contender in the NCAA tournament, the guys have to be great free throw shooters. And House is that. So it always comes down to that. We lost to in our conference tournament because we missed free throws. So that's a big weapon to have, as well as all the other great things he does. He's fun to watch.
Coach, what was this?
He has a fifth year, and I would offer him 2 of my scholarships.
Coach, what was this experience like going up against you? So you've done it before, but I mean, you got the pit, you got this atmosphere and stuff like that.
I'm just really happy for him. 11-0. This is a rebuilding job. He's done it in 1 year. I'm just beaming with pride for what he's accomplishing. I'm disappointed in my team, but I'm so happy for him. So happy for him.
KJ Jenkins is the guy that obviously was on the scouting report, but for 13 first half points, he kind of carried them through some stretches where otherwise you guys were shutting Mash down and House at least slowing him down. KJ Jenkins surprised you in any way today?
No, he's a great shooter. Now, the numbers don't bear that out, but he's the best shooter on the team, pure shooter. Although I can't put anything by House. House is an amazing basketball player, amazing. I'm so impressed. Mashburn. I love their team. Absolutely love their team. Den coming in off the bench. They got so many things that they can do to make it difficult on your defense.
Anything else?
It's great seeing you again. It was much more fun when we were in the Final Four than it is. But everybody have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It's great to see everybody.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, let's switch gears to the home stretch of non-conference play, the 3 games in the Diamond Head Classic in Hawaii. It's beginning to look like Christmas. Maybe not for Iona Gales who are headed to Hawaii to participate in the Diamond Head. It's a fun 8-team field, and the Gales will be playing on the 22nd, 23rd, and 25th, win or lose. Let's start off by looking at the bracket. As we all know, Iona will open things up on the 22nd against SMU, with the winner facing the winner of Utah State and Seattle. The other side of the bracket has Washington State taking on George Washington and Hawaii facing Pepperdine. Let's talk about SMU a little bit. The Mustangs are, well, a bit of a disappointment thus far this year. Just 3-7, Ken Palm of 185, and a net rating of, 287. SMU is a poor offensive team and one of the weaker teams in the country from 3. So this is a good game for Iona to get their feet under them from a defensive perspective, coming off the New Mexico game. SMU has no wins against anyone in the Ken Palm top 270, and their best performance was an 8-point neutral site loss against a talented TCU squad. The players to watch, we'll start with 6'3" sophomore guard Zurich Phelps, averaging 19.5 points, 4 boards per game. So he's their star. He's the one that, we'll have Mr. Barrick on. And he's supported by a trio of seniors, 6'3" guard Zach Nuttall at 13.3 points per game, 6'9" forward Ife Odiji averages 9 and 9, 6'7" forward Sam Williamson averages 8 and 7. But Iona's going to be the favorite to win this game. It would be a disappointment not to get the win here, despite the opponent being from a bigger conference. Make no mistake. A win over SMU would likely lead to a date against another undefeated Mountain West opponent, Utah State. The Aggies will likely be 10-0 going into the Diamond Head. They do host Weber State today and are heavy favorites to hold serve. How about this? Utah State's net today is 10, and their Ken Palm is 41. the Aggies have a stack of solid wins, including demolishing Santa Clara by 22 in Utah. If that meeting comes to pass, Iona will be underdogs, but what a lift to the non-conference slate to get such an opportunity. As noted, Iona could also face Seattle in their second game in Hawaii. The Redhawks are not bad. They're sitting today at 109 in the net, 142 in KenPom, and they sport an 82 record on the year. So whether on the winner's side or loser's side, where we could see them potentially, they're not a pushover by any means. Looking at the other four teams on your side of the bracket, if Iona would beat SMU and pull off an upset of Utah State in the semis, and yes, we would be an underdog against Utah State, Washington State figures to be the team to reach the finals out of that side of the bracket. The Cougars will have a below 500 record entering Hawaii, but they've got a net of 70 and a KenPom of 60, despite entering Diamond Head with no wins versus the KenPom top 200. But yeah, we have to assume they'd be the favorites to come out of that side of the bracket, as the others over there include Hawaii with a 137 KenPom and 127 net, Pepperdine with a 147 KenPom and a 138 net, and GW, probably the weakest team in the field, at 213 in KenPom and 219 in the net. Well, although, who knows, maybe SMU is the weakest team in the field. Anyway, if Iona ends up losing to SMU, they'll likely play two very winnable games to ensure we get home 2-1, but certainly alarm bells will go off because SMU is just not that good. But a win over SMU could set up a potential path of Utah State and Washington State, and all of a sudden a really strong resume for when it comes to NCAA tournament time. Again, talking about at large, if you care about that so much. I don't, honestly. I'd rather win the conference tournament. But even I think that those are kinds of things that are important for seed lines. So keep all that in mind as we plow our way through Hawaii in the coming days. Of course, though, it is so hard to predict how brackets would go. You need only recall how things went in Orlando a year ago. But this is a really long distance for Iona to travel. Thousands and thousands of miles for this set of games. How does Iona respond after New Mexico? You get the idea. It's so hard to know what to expect, but at the bare minimum, if Iona can get the win against SMU and get that shot against Utah State in the winner's bracket, that's really not a bad position to be in. Here's hoping Iona can seize the day while at Diamond Head, and that it's a Merry Christmas for us all. Well, everybody, it's a happy holiday coming up, we hope, for Gale Nation, with 3 games in Hawaii to enjoy as we get ready to settle in with family and friends and celebrate the holidays. I wish you all the best and safe, happy, healthy holidays. Gale Nation, bring us home some wins. Go Gales.
Thank you for listening to this edition of the IonaHoops.com podcast. This podcast is a production of IonaHoops.com with publisher Guy Filatico. The opinions shared during this podcast are those of Guy Filatico, IonaHoops.com, and any featured guests. This podcast is not affiliated with Iona University Athletics or the university itself. Thank you for supporting IonaHoops.com.